Hey everyone, this is Mark, and you are on Tales of the Ancients with Mark. This is also one of those videos whereby I'm not going to edit anything, I'm not going to cut anything, there's not going to be any jump cuts at any point of this video. It's going to be a straightforward video. However, we'll be addressing a topic that I've been asked multiple times. Well, two questions that I've been asked multiple times. One says, do I believe in all these things that I talk about? That is the gods I talk about, the legends I talk about, the stories of the myths I talk about. Like there's a particular prince in in the legend of Benin Kingdom who was said to be so huge he uproots palm trees from the floor and sweeps the floor with it. Do I believe this? Not entirely. But then I'm not going to, for the sake of not believing it, say that the people who believe in it are not doing something right or are probably wasting their time. I'm not going to be the person to say that because from my own tradition, we have our own beliefs as well. Whereby if I told you this were the beliefs we had or we have, you might look at me weird like, is this guy all right? And I'm not going to be in that position. I don't want to put myself in that position where I have to tell you that, oh, because you don't believe in my belief, you're not, you're not doing something right. It's totally not up to me. So then, do I believe in all the things that I'm talking about? Short answer is no. Do I believe that there is a particular deity who turned into a goat or who turned into a sheep to impregnate a cow or a tree, and the tree gave birth to something, planted something inside its head, and a full-grown adult busted out of his head? Do I believe in these things? No. But the fun about this thing is that it is fascinating to read about. It is mind blowing to read about, and that is why I love mythology. Second question is where people ask me, how do I? So there was a particular deity I was talking about, Nyx, the goddess of the night in Greek mythology. So I made a couple of posts on her on my old TikTok page, and the question I was getting under that post was, please, how do I contact her? I talk about mythology. I don't talk. I'm not in any occultic anything. I basically just talk about mythology, and I try my best to make my videos as educational and also playful as I can make them. I don't talk about their spiritual aspects. I don't go into their occultic aspects. I don't go into their belief aspects. I just talk about the stories that you can also see out there if you wanted to look into the stories. People on my comment section will be like, how do I contact her? I have no idea how you can contact her. I don't even know if there is a her. This is mythology, and I just find it fascinating. Just the way when we were little, there were stories we used to hear about the Easter Bunny. At the time we hear these stories, they were fascinating to us. We grew up and we tend to realize that maybe this was just a story told to us to, kind of like make us behave or things like that. And honestly, that's how I see mythology. But these stories are still fascinating to learn about because few things in the world excites me. I'm not even gonna lie. Few things in the world excites me. But mythology, the stories are so rich. Where else would you hear a story about a horse that has wings, can fly between realms? Where else would you hear a story about a hammer that can move at a speed faster than light but weighs 1,000 horses or 1,000 elephants? Where else would you hear these stories? Nowhere. Mythology, these are the stories that our grandfathers, their own grandfathers, their own great grandfathers talked about. And it's just fascinating, and that is why I love mythology. So, if you're looking for how you can invoke deities or whatever, I'm not the right person to meet about that. I'm just here to just talk about the beauty of mythology and the stories behind them. And if that's what you want, also stick with me because you would enjoy this page. Honestly, I forgot there was not going to be any jump cut in this video. So, all right, maybe there will be a jump cut in this video. Now, the third topic I want to talk about is there are a lot of people who misrepresent the word mythology and spirituality. And I think it's a common misconception. Mythology is not essentially spiritual. In some way, yes, it's spiritual, but I guess you can say spiritual. So now, this is what I want to talk about. There are people who would come to my comment section and say, I don't believe in anything spiritual. And I think many of us are privileged to be in a situation whereby we can say these things and still believe that we are saying the right things. I'm not saying that you're wrong for believing or not believing in anything spiritual. Now, I'm not saying mythology, I'm talking about spirituality. If you say so, well and good. It's totally fine. I'm not going to be the one to tell you or to force you into something that you don't believe in. But however, what I want to say is that I believe everyone in life is going to have a spiritual encounter at one point in time, no matter what type of spirit it is, no matter what type of. You are bound to have a spiritual encounter at one point in your life. I'm not sure I've had mine, but I've had my experience of spirituality. I've seen spiritual things occur because I grew up in a very, very spiritual from a spiritual background, from a spiritual environment. If I may say so myself, in my area we had the kings. Okay, so I grew up in Ogun State, and in the area of Ogun State where I grew up, the king's chief priest was in our area, and he does a lot of sacrifices and things, and I think that would have been one of the few places that I picked up interest in learning about mythology, not because of the spiritual aspect, but because of the stories I was hearing that, oh, there's a particular masquerade that can disappear into thin air. It's from the legend, it's from the myths, the primordial deities, the elemental forces. And I'm like, whoa, what? Things like that. But a bit after that, I've gone into life myself and I've seen things happen, things where you really cannot explain. Well, some people will try and find explanations to them, but I believe everyone is going to have a spiritual encounter. But if you're one of those few who would go through this life and not have at least one spiritual encounter, one encounter with the supernatural, I really don't know what to tell you. It's something you need to experience yourself. It is something you actually need to experience yourself. And honestly, that's basically what this video is going to be on, and that's basically what this video is about. And I want to say thank you for being here and sitting with me through this, me ranting about mythology. And yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Tales of the Ancient with Mark.